Hello, welcome back to the Alteryx Weekly Challenge with me, Nick Bignell. This is challenge number 51, and it is another spatial one. I really enjoy these spatial ones. I don't use spatial myself other than in these challenges, and so therefore I guess that's why I enjoy them. Okay, so this use case is for regulatory purposes. We have been asked to identify all the counties within a 15-mile radius of each of our stores, as well as identifying the percentage of the county's area that is overlapped, i.e. the coverage. So we need to identify all the counties and the percentage that they're within the 15-mile radius of the stores. Okay, so calculate the percentage overlap of individual store, and part 2 is to calculate the percentage of overlap of the county for the entire store network. Okay, so it looks like we've got 10 stores and coordinates. So first thing we need to do, what we got in the county polygons. Oh, we actually got a spatial object and each of the counties. Okay, good. Let's just run this as it is and see what we've got on this side. So here we've not got any spatial objects. It's just the county area square miles, the overlap area, and the percentage of the two by store ID and county. And then this one is just by county and the overlap. Okay, right. So first thing we need to do is create a centroid or a point. So if we go to spatial, we can create a point. So that's the create point. It's already picking up the longitude and latitude, and we just run that. Didn't do any configuration, just run it. It's created something called a centroid, which is the points on the map. Okay, so now we need to work out 15 miles of radius. Okay, so that's, I think, something. This is this trade area, and it's picked up on the centroid. It's the only spatial object in there, and we've got a radius, donuts, or drive time. So 15 miles, radius miles. So you can change this to drive time if we've got a drive time data set. Eliminate overlap. Available for specific value radius only. No, because we want to know by store, don't we? Okay, so let's just run that. So now we have something called a spatial object trade area. If we put a browse on that, run it again, then what we ought to get is a map. There we go. So this is all the stores and their radiuses. Radii. Okay, so let's just move that a bit out of the way. What do we do now? We now want to see how that overlaps. Is that right? So in here we have all of the counties. Now the overlap one is this spatial match, so we want to see how it matches. So if we take that one, okay, so that's mapped on the centroid, but we actually want the trade area, and then we want to bring in the counties. So now we have this counties. This is like a join, but with spatial. That's picked up the spatial object from the universe, or the U entry, and then what do we want? Where target intersects universe, where touches or intersects universe, within universe, where target is within universe. I think that's what we want, isn't it? Where target is within universe. Let's run that and see what we get. Oh, maybe yeah, that's given us nothing. Everything's on the other one. So it must be. Let's try touches or intersects universe. Okay, that's better. So now we have. Yes, it's like a join. So if on this side the trade area was within this spatial object, then it's matched it, because we now have 5 rows for this one store. So it's like you get multiple joins for each of these counties. Okay, good. So now we know the two. We now need to work out the intersect, or the overlap, and that's this spatial process one. Now, if you look here, we've got these 1 and 2, so we want to create this third space where the two overlap, i.e. the county, let's just say the county is number 1 and the store radius is number 2. It gives us a number 3, which is the overlap. Okay, so on this one, we've got the trade area, which is the stores, and on this side we want the spatial object, which is the county. Let's run that. Okay, so what's it done now? So it's now created this spatial object process, which is the overlap bit. Okay, so it's the part of the store that is within the specific county. So we now need to do some analysis of the two things. So if we look here, what we're looking at is the county area square mile and the overlap square mile. So the county area was the area square miles, but of the county. So that was the spatial object. I should have renamed these. Pretty easier. And then we can do another one, which will give us the process one, which is just the overlap. Again, we want square miles. So if we run that, what we should have is square mile 1 and square mile 2. So square mile 1 is of the county, and square mile 2 is of the particular store radius. Okay, so what do they call it? County and overlap. So I think we can get rid of all the bits that we don't need now. So we're going to select. So we want store ID, address C. What's it got in here? Just got county, store ID and county. Okay. So we don't need address, city, state, zip, lat, long, centroid, spatial, radius, name. Is that the county? Let's have a look on the data on the way in. Name is the county, so we can rename that county. Get rid of key. Okay, spatial object, and then this is the county area square mile, and then this one is the what do they call it? Trade overlap area square mile. Okay, so that should give us the almost everything. So if we run that, okay, so if we compare it to that, so we've got, is it in the same order? It's not in the same order. It's ordered by percentage. So let's work out the percentage formula tool, and that's simply, what do they call it? Percent PCT underscore overlap. So I'll call it that, PCT underscore overlap, and it is, nope, that's not what I wanted. It is overlap divided by county times by 100. Okay, so that gives us a percent. Let's give it a double, and that gives us the percent. Okay, now what we want to do is just sort it by percentage overlap, then store ID. So percent overlap descending, and then store ID ascending. Let's stick a browse in there, and then no, we've got the sort the wrong way around. We wanted the store ID first. Okay, now let's see what we got now. Okay, so that's the results. Okay, so it's two decimal places, but everything else looks the same, although we've got some rounding difference here by the looks of it. Yeah, really small. Okay, let's change the percent. Where do we want to do that? Can for this formula tool, which is what calculates it. So if we change it to a fixed decimal with 2 decimal places, okay, and then run that. And then that gives us the same percentage overlap, although we have got this weird rounding thing. Okay, so that's the first one, which was the part 1, which is by store. Now what we need to do is work out what the total area is of all of the stores, because on this one we've got to calculate the percentage of overlap by county for the entire network. So we need to create one polygon for the entire network. So you do that simply, he says, I hope so, by combining all of these spatial object trade areas. So we can do that. So let's combine. There's a spatial, add spatial combine, which will just create one single spatial object. There we go. So if we just hook a browse in there, so we can see. If I run that, a little time, but then when it renders, so we've got one huge polygon. Let's just copy that entire flow and paste it just underneath. Okay, so we can now bring this into the target, and we can bring that into the target, and rather than use the combined, we've got this combined spatial object combined. On this side we've got the spatial object. Okay, so let's run that. Okay, so we've got an error here. We'll just have a look at that in a minute. But now we have the two spatial objects, the combined one plus the other one. So what we want to do is take the combined spatial object and the second spatial object and create a intersect. Okay, well that's created problems further down the line, but now we're taking the first spatial object, second process one, which is what we want, because off the back of this we've got these two, which is that this is the county and this is the overlap. The issue we have here is that store ID is missing, but that's fine. So we now have the county, miles squares, and the overlap. So what's that we're looking at here? So the county area, miles squared, square miles, and then percentage overlap. It doesn't seem to be any order other than alphabetical. So if we change this, and we can just get rid of that and get rid of that, and we'll just pick county ascending, and actually in this one I think we can get rid of the first spatial object, and that means we don't have to do anything later on. Run that. Okay, and then compare that to this. So again we've got some slight differences in rounding, really small, which is interesting. I'm wondering if they're using a different method for calculating the square areas. Oh wait, yeah, it's really bizarre, isn't it? Everything else is the same. So there you go. I'm going to call that good enough. Thank you very much for watching. See you again next time.